So hi everybody and welcome back to Unreal Engine 5 tutorial series for absolute beginners. This is video 60 and in this video we continue with our widget blueprint which we created for the character, and it looks not very stylish now, but this is just to demonstrate how we can lose life and yeah, when we get damaged and so on. So of course make it here beautiful and make it really cool looking and so on. That's up to you. I continue with my simple one. And we have set up here nothing. And we need to set up something. I already did here something little bit, but I will show you what we want to achieve. So our goal is that when we run here, the character is spawning, and when it hits us, then we lose life. You can see it on the top. This is not the best setup. This is just for demonstration. Later you have to adjust that and make it perfect. But first of all, let's learn this basic step and then you can make it perfect. So what we have to do, I said in the last video that the infinitive character is not a good place actually because he can die, but in this start demonstration we still make it here because it's easier to make it here, and later we make a little bit more advanced version where we have to use it in our game controller probably, and then assign it to the game mode and so on, so it is also multiplayer usable for multiplayer. So let's get to start with this one. What we want to achieve is we are right now in our player character. In my case, it's this Infinitive Warrior. Then I go here to this event graph, and then I select this capsule component, and then I scroll down and create on component begin overlap, and it jumps here to this node. And why I'm doing this is I want that this capsule component, when I select it here, this one, if it's overlapping, for example, with my enemy, for example, this AI, then I won't lose life. This is not an optimal solution. Normally, you will have to do something like the enemy character is coming here, performing an attack, and if this attack is overlapping with your character, then you will lose life. But this is a little bit more advanced. Let's learn this simple one. The simple one is just if our character reaches us, we will lose life. That's it. So back to the event graph. So I have created this node. Now I have cast it to the character who is overlapping me. In my case, it is it should be only the AI character. So I write here cast from actor to cast to AI1. And this one counts only for one right now, so not for the other AIs. This is another solution which you have to make later too, so it counts for other ones too. In this case, we make first this demonstration only for one. And then, if this AI is coming now to me, this box, this capsule box will realize it. And that was this code here. But what happens next? And what happens next we have to define. The next step after it hits us, we want lose life. So in our life bar, it should be decreased, right? Not all one time. Of course, you can make one hit too, but I want that it decrease a certain amount each hit. And how we can make this with a very easy float variable. So we go here on the right side, we click a plus, and we create a float variable, and I call it here current life, and I set it to float here, and then I compile, save, and I drag this out and do exactly the code what you can see here. What I'm going to do here is I get the current life. Important is that you select this current life and set the default value to 1, because here we start with 1. And we can see it here as well. The percentage, when I see it, we can't see it right here because I have already used it, but you should see here a 1 right now. Later we will make here a binding, and then you will see some similar, something similar like this. So then back in our character, we have now our start life. It is 1. And from this one, it should be decreased. The life should be decreased. So all time when this character here hits me, this is this code place, I want the next step that it decrease my life. And how I'm doing this, I just subtract an amount which you like. In my case, I use the subtract node, which means just minus the current life minus, and this value you can set here manually, or you can make this also a variable. In my case, I set it to minus null 0.1. Why I make this 0.1? Because when I start from 1 and I get null 0.1 less, so I subtract null 0.1 less, it is 10% around, because 1 is 100 and null 0.1 is 10%. So, and then I set, what I did after that is just get this node again, and you set the same node. So what I subtracted, why I'm doing this, because this is my start point, 100, and now I get lower and lower, so we can see this will become lower and lower. And after that, that's it. But we have here a problem. We have not a resetter that we have to code later. But right now, let's keep it simple and go on. After that, this code here in the player character, it's finished. We jump to our widget. And here in our widget, we have only make this progress bar. And we set here the color and the start value to 1. But now we want to change this 1 here to this to something. And one way is you click here this bind. You have here something like a little word bind, and then if you click this bind, it jumps to a new function. So it jumps here on top. We have the event graph. It creates a new window, which is a function now, and here on the left side we see it is jumping to the function, and then you can rename this. I renamed this get life bar percentage, so I know, okay, life bar percentage will be coded here. Then you have only these 2 nodes. After that we have to bind it, but you can see we have a problem. We need now access to this code here, because we are here in the widget blueprint, and this one is here in the blueprint Infinitive Warrior. So we need a connection to this, and this connection is called all time this reference, what we know. And how we create a reference is all time similar. You go here to the event graph, and most time in event construct or event begin play or something like that, there you will create a reference, and it's almost all time the same. For example, we need this Infinitive Warrior reference, so you just write here cast. For example, I make here again demonstration. You just write here cast to the object which you need a reference. Cast here in my case to Infinitive Warrior, to my player character. Okay, Infinitive Warrior, where is that? Okay, it is already casted, that's why. Infinitive, let me see, here. So I make here this cast Infinitive Warrior, and then you get the player character in this case, because this is the object. If you can't find the object for here info, the character is most time player controller would work. Player control play controller, get player controller would work when I get it. Controller, and here on down anywhere. It looks like it's not working. Player character, it's called get player controller. This would work normally. Get player character would work. That is the normal what we do. Get player character, that will work also. And why this is working, because they are all time inheriting anyhow from each other, and they are defining the player index. In this case 0, it means the first one. For single player, no problem. For multiplayer, this will be a problem, because we have to set this up a little bit more properly. But in this case, let's make it for single player and later for multiplayer. So And then you have this reference, get player character, and what you have to do after this is promote this to a variable. I already did this here, and you see something like this will happen. It will promote it to a variable, means just you have now this as a variable and here access. And now what you can do is in the function get live. Now we go back to our function. I can get this promoted variable here. In my case, this warrior. I just grab it. I now have it. And now I have access to this blueprint of infinitive warrior. So this reference means all time just access to these properties here. And of course, if they allow me to get them. Most time when you create this current live, you can make them also public, but if you use a getter, you don't have to, but make this still public. It's easier, not all time good, but sometimes. So let's see. So what I did then is just now I have access to this one. If I close this, for example, not public, I think in this case it's not so wild because we have already a reference. So I can write get current live, and you see it's popping up here. Oops, not here. Current live. Get current live in the defaults panel, and then you get this, and you pin it here to the return value. That's it. After we have done this one, this code says now I will update when we switch here on the right side top to the designer. I will update this value because this is bound to this one here. So we have here a connection between visual and code with this one binding here. And we can actually almost test it. Almost. Why that? Because there is one thing we have to set up. So, and what is that? It is something called a collision. And we go to the BP Infinitive Warrior, we go here to the capsule collision, and I say I'm going to use this, for example. Then I go here on the right side to my collision set, and it says here overlap only pawn. Okay, this one will only overlap pawn, and we compile and save. Okay, that's cool. And what happens with the other collision? We have to check now this enemy collision as well. Let's open this one up, get to this collision and check what happens with this collision. Because the collision determines if we can overlap and activate this box at all. Something like, this attack and damage. And so let's go here to collision. And here it says pawn. So it will just overlap a pawn, and here are some settings. Read what collision means, but in our case that should be okay. I think then we can already start. So now it pops up on the screen. I activate here my AI. My AI is following me, and you see he is all time when he is overlapping my character, I lose life now. But sometimes it can happen that he is following me and overlapping me several times, like that. You saw it? He overlapped me more than one time. And the reason for that is he was following me, overlapping me, but he reached me not. And you have to fix these little things with special codes like a check that you can only overlap one time and so on. But this one is something we can do later, or we can change the code at all, because this solution, it's not the best solution. It was just for demonstrating how we can set this all things up. A better solution, like I said, is if the AI warrior comes to you, start an attacking, and only when he is attacking, you will activate your overlap event to get damage, because the damage should be let me show you what I mean. The damage should be the attack should be damaging us, not that he stays near us. Right now he's just come near us, overlap with our character, and that makes already damage. That's not the case. You see the spin attack. This spin attack should make damage, and this means we have to activate our collision box when he's doing this spin attack. Then it will overlap, and then we can apply damage. So you see, this is a little bit more further work, but I think I stop here. You understand the base concept here. So what we have to do, you have just to bind this one and set the collision and the overlap events, and that's it. That's not so much, but this was also the very simple version, which is not the best, which you have definitely changed. But right now I keep this and I will change it offline and explain it probably you again, because this takes a while. And with that said, if you have any questions like all time, you can ask in the comments, and bye for now.